I'm with my classmate at the moment,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted to do this topic about childhood, and I feel like I want to compare it with the ones, who actually grew up in Australia and those who actually brought up in, overseas. What's it like? And I've often hear like stories like, usually like older generations been telling me that Australian who brought up here have no idea what they're missing out in their childhood.
In terms of experience.
Oh, definitely is.
Okay, yeah.
So, boys, introduce yourself. Let's start from you.
Okay, first of all, my name is Mayen. I was born in Kenya, and I grew up in UK, but then I came here like 2001, and yeah.
I'm Zaim. I'm Albanian. I was born in Australia. Yeah.
Alright, there you go. My name is William. You guys know I'm China, so ABC, as you guys classified as Australian born Chinese, ABC. So let's go to the first question. So, which primary school do you go to?
Which primary school did I went to?
Yeah.
I went to primary school in, first of all, I went to primary school in Kenya, and when I came here, I went to primary school as well here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much.
Can you tell me a bit more about your primary school? Like, did they beat you, or was it tough, or you? Last time you mentioned, did you play sports, or are you boys and girls school, or it's the Kuwait, or it's just boys only school?
Oh well, back in Kenya, the schools in Kenya are different to the one here in Australia, because like in Kenya, kids are taught, like differently. Like if you were to go to school in Kenya as a kid from Australia, it would be quite different for you because the teachers they're a bit aggressive, and you get hit by teachers, back in Kenya. And when I came here, it was actually different because you sit in a class and teachers just teach you, Teachers here in Australia, they're a bit humble compared to teachers back in Kenya. And Kenya primary school was quite fun, but not as fun as Australia because like here in Australia you get to play like at playgrounds, and in Kenya there's no such thing as playground. As a kid you just sit in a class and you just write and that's it. That's the only activity that you do in the class compared to Australia. So.
Definitely is. That's very different how they don't have playgrounds and they don't play sports, just full on studying,
Yeah, pretty much like as a kid in Kenya, whether you go to university or primary school or high school, there's no activity. The only thing that you have in your mind is, I'm going to grab my paper today and pen and I'm just going to go to class and I'm just going to write, That's the only thing that you get. There's no things that as a sport. You can play sport at home, but you don't play like sport at school. There's no sport.
There's, would you say like, what's the word? There's no creative expression?
Yeah.
Venue for that?
Yeah, pretty much, man. So it was different being in Kenya and here in Australia.
Oh, definitely is. So what type of school it is? Government or private or?
Well, in Kenya there's like a private, school, and then there's a government school. A government school is for refugees, and if you have like a wealthy dad that have money, you go to like a private school. Me personally, I went to a private school because my dad wanted me to have like a good education. So pretty much I was put in a private school, and private schools is quite like teachers are really like strict. They're real strict. And it was like a boarding school, not just a private school, but it was a boarding school, which meant like have to stay at school, sleep at school, and like at the end of the semester, that's when I get to go home and see my family. But I have to I used to stay like at school for like a month or two, and then I get to go home. And at that time I was really young. I wasn't even like 10. I was like 9 years of age, and I get to live with like my sisters or brothers or mom, and it was just like going hardcore on schooling and everything. So it was different to Australia. But then when I came to Australia, you get to go to school, and then later on you go home, which was different for me. And at school here in Australia, like cause personally, when I came, I went to school in in Sydney. I went to a private school in Sydney, and it was like a primary school in Sydney, and yeah, it was different compared to the one in Kenya.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Well, for me, after my parents' divorce, I have to move to China, and for those who doesn't have a Chinese citizen, you can't go to a government school. So therefore, I have to enroll in a boarding school. So boarding school for me, coming from a government school in Australia and quickly straight away go to, a boarding school, not familiar with the culture, it really shocked me because first off, I couldn't understand any of my language at all. And, it's funny how, the students in my class would teach me Cantonese and the teacher would taught me Mandarin. But it's pretty funny how it goes because I kind of picked it up throughout my journey. And my school was it's like boarding school. I pretty much just stay in the school like 6 days a week. Sunday, coming back home, but that's the only day I have. The education skills, as similar to Mayen's, you get beaten, you get hidden. But for me, I think one thing that stood out the most is, I remember I was doing a spelling test, and if the teacher marked my spelling test and I got mistakes, those mistakes I have to rewrite those words 100 times. Now I note that to you guys it's like A, B, C, D, E. It's none of that. It's all Chinese character. So I have to do strokes and I have to do like 100 times, 1,000 times until my pen ran out of ink. So often every Sunday I come back home and ask my grandma and say I need to buy more pens, and she was like surprised, like how can I finish pens in a week? It's amazing, huh? But my journey was pretty amazing how I go through, like going from a government school to boarding school, and where the boarding school taught me how to live my life. For example, we don't have any maids or any cleaners, so what's going on for the room, you clean it, you maintain, and pretty much they taught you how to use the skills that you can do of your future life, for example.
Life skills,
life skills. And I'm really glad that I got that opportunity, because if I don't have that sort of discipline back then today I don't think I will ever go to school.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever go to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Discipline like that can be really like life-changing experience. It can really develop you as a human being.
Yeah.
Make you go.
Well, it definitely is. So yeah, Zaim.
What about you, Zaim?
Okay. Well, I went to a place here in Melbourne called Greenbelt Primary School. I had a pretty typical Australian childhood, I guess. It's not too eventful like these guys. What can I say? Typical Australian lifestyle, I guess. I'm born European though, so I had those European influences at home. But out in the streets, out in the public, I lived pretty Australian as the stereotype.
Define what's Australian.
What's Australian?
Audience doesn't know what sort of like.
I guess what you'd be given as a stereotypical image of Australia is sunny days and those sort of things. So I'm guessing it was kind of like that. When I have fun as a kid, went on adventures around my neighbourhood, that sort of thing. When you're a kid, your imagination's very big, so everything that you see on your adult life as a kid was so massive. So I don't know. I guess that's my experience. Not too eventful.
Yeah, true.
Pretty basic stuff.
Well, because when you're a kid, you just think of a lot of things, but when you get old, that's when like reality hit you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everything becomes more stale and more routine. Yeah. As a child, like walking down the street felt like an adventure, man. Like something new everywhere you went. And that's something I wanted to know as well. Childhood is like your first experience of everything, like everything, that you appreciate today. So it's always nice,
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your story.
No, it's not much of a story, but it's alright.
All right, let's go to the next question. What was your best moment in your childhood life?
Well, with me, the best childhood was when I was in Africa, and
Whereabouts in Africa? Africa is a continent.
Obviously, I'm aware of
Sorry, man. Sorry, man.
No, it's right. You know how I told you I was born in Kenya?
Yep.
Well, Kenya and Uganda and South Sudan and Ethiopia and Somalia, they're like real close,
Okay.
It's like in Australia here, how there's like Canberra, Brisbane and Adelaide and Sydney and Melbourne. Yeah, they're just like that. So when I was in Kenya, my grandmother, she used to live in Uganda, a place called Kampala in Uganda. So every single time when I have holidays from school, I get to go to Uganda, So I remember when I was like 10, my dad took me and then we went to Uganda. And in Uganda, there's like city, like urban area, and then there's rural area, So I went and see my grandma in a little village, in Uganda. And in that village, it was quite fun because they do like different activities compared to when I was in the city, at school. So I met like a couple of my cousins. They were really young, and at that time we used to go like hunting, hunt for, food, something to eat.
Is it bad or is it depending on the location or is it depending on the animal that you hunt?
Well, in Africa, hunting is like activity that you do, as a person.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know if it still exists now, but when I was there, it's like something that you do for fun because there's no playground or there's no like toys that you play with as a kid. So hunting was one of those activities that you do as a person. So me and my little cousin, we just used to go hunting and then we go like swimming, because in Africa there's a lot of like little, sort of oceans, like rivers and everything. So we just used to go swimming and do fishing, and those were like a good moment for me.
Awesome.
Fishing and then hunting for animals.
So what sort of animals do you hunt? Elephants? Tigers? Oh, wait. Tigers in Asia. Lions.
We do have tigers in Africa, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, we do.
And that's right, man.
You didn't know
Sure,
that?
man? Dude, it's an Asian thing.
You didn't know that?
It's an Asian thing, right?
It isn't. I think there's some species in Asia, of course, but it's not.
Tigers, they're worldwide. What are you on about, man?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying they're originally from
I don't
Southeast
think
Asia or Asia.
I guess that's
Asia.
that's a whole nother
Or
topic.
Middle East, yeah.
That's another story. But
Yeah.
you just need to do your, like your studies, just go on Google, bro, and then just research.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, they are tigers, but as a person in Africa, you don't go hunt tigers, because tiger is an animal that can kill you. We don't hunt them.
Yeah, because you can't hunt predators.
You
Especially when
just
you're
stay away from them,
inexperienced,
Tigers, lions, all these animals, you don't hunt them. If you see one and you kill one, you recognize as like a very strong person, like people will respect you, but we don't hunt them.
But what sort of weapons
Yeah,
do you use to cut,
yeah.
to kill it?
Nowadays people have guns, but back then people used like spears and arrows, Yeah, but now people have guns and all. I think they can use them now. But when I was young, like we just used to go hunt for like little things like such as rabbits, or little animals, Yeah, but nothing extreme like tigers, lions. You don't want to chuck your life away,
Of course, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure like older people they do things like that, like going for hunting for bigger animals, But yeah, I never experienced.
Wow, that's really interesting how you guys do your hunting.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's actually a thing I wanted to say. Like people think when they see hunting, they see like big guns like ripping up forests.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
it's
what
not
cool.
like that. It's not like that at all. It's more down to earth. It's more skill based.
It is.
Yeah. Now some types of hunting, I like that ripping up forests with shotguns, but there's more humble ways to hunt.
Of course, man. Of course. When people think of hunting, they think like you're, Yeah.
It's not like wild human or something, but it's very negative stigma that was made from lack of information.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
it's like here in Western world, how people, you go to school and you study like that specific, topic that you want to study, like you want to be specialized in. For example, if you want to be a psychologist or doctor,
Yep.
you just focus on that. That's like some people in Africa, you like hunting is something that they live for,
Yeah, gotcha.
So let's say if you're like a
it's
dad.
a cultural thing then.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, so-
If you're a dad and you don't have something to feed your family or whatever, you just grab your spears, and you just go out into the jungle and just go and hope for the best, something that you find and then you kill, and later on you just bring meat.
Oh.
So it's like,
Well, that is really interesting story, like hunting.
Yeah.
And different culture has different life skills as well. Well, my best moment will probably not